Welcome back to Saltwater Stories. Today we're going to learn about an animal that's like a mix of a puppy, a detective, and a superhero, the sea otter.
Ooh, that's a pretty good description. They are playful, clever, and they're actually super important for keeping their part of the ocean healthy.
So they're like the guardians of the sea. I like it.
Right. And one of their coolest features is their fur. It's so thick, it's like wearing a super-powered wetsuit.
Yeah, their fur is famous, right? It's like the thickest fur of any animal anywhere.
You got it.
And that keeps them warm, even in the cold Pacific Ocean.
Exactly. They don't have a thick layer of blubber like whales or seals, so that fur is their secret weapon against the cold.
So it's like their own personal built-in wetsuit.
Yep. And they need it because they live in some chilly places, from California all the way up to Alaska and even across to Russia and Japan.
Oh, wow, they're pretty widespread then. But here's something that always surprises me. They're actually part of the weasel family.
I know, right? You wouldn't think it to look at them.
No, they're all cute and cuddly looking. Not exactly what you think of when you imagine a weasel.
Uh-huh, true. But if you think about it, they do have those same kind of curious faces and playful energy as weasels and ferrets, even wolverines.
Huh. I can kind of see it now that you mention it.
They probably had a land-based ancestor millions of years ago, just like weasels. But these ancestors started hanging out in the water more and more, hunting for food.
Ah, so over time they adapted to that watery lifestyle.
Right. Their bodies slowly changed, and they got webbed feet for swimming, sleek bodies for diving, and of course, that amazing fur we keep talking about.
That's evolution in action. It's so cool how animals change to fit their environments.
Yeah.
But were sea otters always the cute, cuddly size we see today?
Actually, no. Some of their ancient relatives were way bigger,
Really? Like how big are we talking?
almost as big as a wolf.
A wolf-sized otter. That's kind of terrifying.
I know, right? They were like the apex predators of the ancient seas.
Okay, I'm officially glad they evolved into the smaller, more playful otters we know and love today. But hasn't their history been kind of rough?
Sadly, yes. In the 1700s and 1800s, people really wanted their fur because it was so thick and warm.
Yeah, it makes sense. But
But it led to a lot of overhunting. They almost completely disappeared by the early 1900s. There were just a few small groups left.
oh, that's so sad. How do they manage to come back from that?
Well, people realized that we need to protect these animals, so they started working to conserve them.
Like what kinds of things did they do?
Well, they made hunting them illegal, which was a big one, and they started protecting their habitats too. So thanks to those efforts, their numbers have started to rebound.
That's good news. But they're not completely out of the woods yet, right?
You're right. They're still considered a threatened species, and they face new threats like pollution and climate change.
That means we need to keep learning about them and figuring out ways to help. So what's a typical day like for a wild sea otter? Do they just like float around and eat all day?
Well, they do spend a lot of time floating and eating, but there's more to it than that.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me everything. What's the first thing they do when they wake up?
They start with a very serious grooming routine. Remember that super thick fur we talked about?
Oh, right. Got to keep it in tip-top shape.
Exactly. They have to keep it clean and fluffy so all those tiny air pockets can do their job.
So they're like furry little floating hairdressers.
Aha! That's a great way to put it. And after all that primping, it's time for breakfast.
They must work up quite an appetite with all that grooming.
They do. And sea otters are carnivores, which means they eat other animals and they have big appetites.
So what's on the menu for a hungry sea otter?
Oh, all sorts of tasty treats. They love clams, crabs, and their absolute favorite sea urchins.
Sea urchins. Those spiky little things.
Yep, those are the ones.
Wow. They must have some strong teeth to munch on those.
They do, but while they're down there searching for food, they have to be on the lookout for danger too.
Oh, yeah. The ocean can be a pretty wild place.
You said it. There are predators, like orcas and sharks, that could be lurking around looking for an otter snack.
So it's like a game of hide and seek in the kelp forest.
Exactly. They have to be smart and sneaky to survive.
That makes sense. But I've also seen pictures of sea otters just chilling on their backs, taking naps. They look so peaceful and relaxed.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic otter move. Floating on their backs is one of their favorite things to do.
So are they just drifting around?
Not exactly. They're actually pretty clever. They often wrap themselves in kelp, like a little seaweed blanket.
Really? Why do they do that?
Well, it helps them stay in one spot so they don't drift away while they're sleeping.
Ah, so it's like a natural anchor. That's pretty smart.
And it's not just one otter napping alone either. Remember, they're social animals. They like to hang out in groups called rafts.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those. Like big otter parties.
Exactly. These rafts can have dozens or even hundreds of otters all floating together.
Wow. Imagine that. Hundreds of furry little bodies bobbing around in the ocean. What do they do in these rafts all day?
Well, they rest, groom, and even forage for food together. It's like a big, furry, floating community.
That sounds like a pretty good life. What about those adorable otter pups? They always look so cuddly, clinging to their moms.
Oh, they are ridiculously cute. Otter pups are actually born with special fluffy fur that makes them extra buoyant.
It's like a built-in life jacket for babies.
That's a perfect way to put it. They can't dive yet, so they need that extra help to stay afloat.
So the moms must be super busy taking care of them.
They are. Mother otters are very dedicated, and they teach their pups everything they need to know to survive in the ocean.
Like how to groom their fur and hold on to kelp so they don't drift away.
Exactly. And eventually they teach them how to use tools and catch their own food, too.
Speaking of tools, I've heard that sea otters are one of the only animals besides humans that use tools.
You heard right. It's one of the things that makes them so unique and fascinating.
I can't wait to hear more about that. All right, let's talk tools. I've seen those videos. You know the ones where sea otters are using rods to open up shellfish? It's amazing.
It's pretty incredible, right? They're one of the few mammals besides us humans that actually use tools to get their food.
So they're like little underwater engineers.
Aha. Yeah, I guess you could say that. So picture this. They dive down to the ocean floor, find a clam or a mussel tucked inside a rock.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Then they got to bring that clam up to the surface, along with the rock that they've also found.
So it's like a 2-for-1 deal at the underwater supermarket.
Exactly. Then, get this, they flip onto their backs, balance that clam right on their bellies,
It's like a little seafood platter.
and then, bam! They use that rock they brought up like a hammer to crack open the shell.
Whoa, that's some serious multitasking skills right there.
Right. It takes a lot of coordination and strength.
Yeah, I bet. And they're not just using any random rock, are they?
You're right. They often have a favorite rock that they keep tucked under their arm, almost like their own little toolbox.
That's so cool. Their own personal shellfish cracking hammer.
Okay.
But speaking of tools, we can't forget about that incredible fur. It's like a superpower.
It really is. We know it's the densest fur of any animal, 1,000,000 hairs per square inch. But let's break it down a bit more.
Okay, get technical on me.
So there are actually 2 layers to their fur. There's the undercoat, which is super dense, and that traps a layer of air right next to their skin.
Ah, so that's how those millions of tiny air pockets work.
Exactly. It's like wearing a super warm, puffy jacket.
And a raincoat on top.
You got it. They have longer guard hairs on top of that undercoat, and that keeps the water away from their skin, keeping that undercoat nice and dry.
So it's like a double layer of protection. No wonder they can handle those cold Pacific waters. But I've heard that if their fur gets dirty, it doesn't work as well.
That's right, and that's one of the reasons why oil spills are so dangerous for them. That oil coats their fur, and those air pockets collapse. They lose their insulation.
So they can't stay warm anymore.
Right? They can get really cold and even die from hypothermia.
Oh, that's so sad. It just reminds us how careful we need to be about what we put into the ocean, because it can have such a big impact on these animals.
I agree. We all have a part to play in keeping our oceans clean. But let's get back to the otters themselves. Remember those rafts of otters we were talking about?
Oh, yeah, those big otter parties.
Right. That social structure is so important to them, especially for family life.
Yeah, tell me about otter families. I bet those moms are super protective of their pups.
Oh, absolutely. And female sea otters can actually have pups any time of year, unlike some animals that have babies just in certain seasons.
Really? So, like, there could be baby otters swimming around at any time of the year.
Yep. Pretty cool.
That is cool. But aren't there times when more pups are born?
You're right. It depends on where they live. For example, in California, you'll see more pups in the late winter and early spring.
Makes sense. Okay, so once a pup is born, how long does it stay with its mom?
Usually about 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And unlike some marine mammals that have twins or triplets, sea otters usually only have one pup at a time.
Wow, so all of mom's attention goes to that one little pup.
You got it. And those pups, they're completely dependent on their moms for the first few months of their lives.
But remember you were saying that pups are born with that extra fluffy fur that makes them extra buoyant?
Right. It's like they're wearing their own tiny little life vest, keeps them from sinking.
So they're floating around up at the surface while mom dives down to get food.
Exactly. She's got to do all the work.
So how does she manage to hunt and take care of her pup at the same time?
It's definitely a balancing act. Sometimes she'll leave her pup on the surface, wrapped in kelp to keep it from drifting away while she dives for food.
Oh, that's like tucking them into a little seaweed cradle.
Haha, exactly. And when she comes back up, she nurses her pup with rich, fatty milk to help it grow big and strong.
Just like human babies.
Yeah.
What happens when they start eating solid food?
Around 4 to 8 weeks old, the pups start trying small bits of solid food, like clams and crabs.
I bet those first meals are messy.
Oh, definitely. But mom is patient, shows her little one how to find and crack open shellfish.
And how to use those rocks as tools.
You got it. And how to groom their fur, too.
So all those cute videos we see of otters playing, they're actually learning important life skills.
Exactly. Those playful interactions help the pups develop coordination, build muscles, practice their survival skills.
It's like going to otter school.
Ha, I like that.
Eh.
But eventually, around 6 to 8 months old, it's time for the pup to become independent.
Aw, they grow up so fast.
I know, and mom knows it too. She starts pushing the pup away, encouraging it to hunt and forage on its own.
It sounds a bit harsh, but I guess that's what moms do. Tough love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's tough love, but it's important for their survival, and once they're independent, the cycle begins anew.
So it's a circle of life for sea otters. Now I'm curious, with those big appetites, how do sea otters impact their environment? We've touched on it a bit, but
You're thinking about their role as a keystone species.
yeah, it's not just about being cute and cuddly.
Right. They actually play a really important role in keeping their ecosystem healthy.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, they love to eat sea urchins. And those spiky little guys, they love to munch on kelp.
Oh, kelp. That's that long green seaweed that grows in underwater forests, right?
That's the one. And those kelp forests, they're like underwater cities providing food and shelter for tons of different animals.
Wow, so it's a whole community down there.
Exactly. Fish use the kelp as nurseries for their babies. Crabs and lobsters hide among the fronds. Even bigger animals like seals and sharks come to hunt.
So it's a delicate balance.
You got it. And without the sea otters to keep their numbers in check, sea urchins can graze through those kelp forests, leaving behind just barren wastelands.
Whoa, that's a big difference. So otters really are like the protectors of the kelp forest.
Exactly. They're the tiny, furry superheroes making sure everything stays in balance.
That's so cool. But, there are a lot of misconceptions about sea otters out
Oh,
there.
for sure. People see them floating around and think they're lazy or that they don't do much.
It's time for some myth busting.
All right, you ready?
Hit me with those sea otter myths. Let's bust them.
Okay, first up, sea otters are just big river otters.
Oh, yeah, I can see how people might get those mixed up. They both love the water. They're both cute and furry.
Right, but there are key differences. Sea otters, they're true ocean dwellers. They spend almost all their time in the salty waters of the Pacific, while river otters, they prefer freshwater rivers and lakes.
So one loves the salty life and the other loves the sweet life.
Yeah.
Okay, myth busted. What's next?
All right, myth number 2. Sea otters use any old rock to open their food.
Ah, we already touched on this one a bit.
We did. And, it just shows that they're not just randomly picking up rocks. They're actually making choices and using those tools in a pretty strategic way.
That's super impressive. All right, give me myth number 3.
Here's one that might surprise you. Sea otters are related to seals.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. They both have those flippers. They both live in the ocean, so I can see why people might think that.
But even though they might look a bit similar, their family trees are actually very different. Sea otters are part of the weasel family, remember? That makes them more closely related to badgers and wolverines than they are to seals or sea lions.
Whoa. So they might share a neighborhood, but they're not exactly close cousins. Myth busted. What else you got?
All right, how about this? Sea otters don't need to eat much.
Oh, I know this one's got to be false. They've got those super fast metabolisms.
You got it. They burn through energy so quickly to stay warm and active in those cold waters.
So they're like little furnaces that constantly need to be fueled up.
Exactly. And you ready for this? They need to eat around 25% of their body weight in food every single day.
25%. That's like a person eating their weight in pizza every day.
Pretty much. It's a full-time job staying fueled up. All right, ready for another myth?
Hit me with it.
Myth number 5. Sea otters are always fluffy and dry.
Well, they do spend a lot of time grooming.
True. But remember, that fur works by trapping air, and if it gets dirty, like with oil, those air pockets collapse and they can't stay warm.
So it's not just about looking good, it's about survival.
Exactly. Okay, here's another one. Sea otters can hold their breath for an hour.
I've heard that one before.
Mm.
But No way, that's got to be a myth.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. They are incredible divers, but they're not superhuman. Their dives usually only last a few minutes.
It's more like a quick sprint than a
Yeah.
marathon. All right, myth busted. What else you got?
Myth number 7, sea otters sleep floating alone in the ocean.
Wait, but what about those pictures of them holding hands?
Ah, so you already know this one. They don't sleep alone. They hold hands or wrap themselves in kelp to keep from drifting apart in the current.
So cute and clever. I love that they figured out a way to stay together and stay safe. Okay, what's the next myth?
Myth number 8, sea otters are always gentle and cuddly.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Uh-huh, right. They are adorable, they're playful, but we gotta remember they're wild animals.
And we need to respect their space.
You got it. They might be curious and playful, but they do have sharp teeth and strong jaws, and they're not afraid to defend themselves or their pups.
So no trying to hug a wild sea otter.
Definitely not. Always best to admire them from a safe distance.
Okay, next myth.
All right, how about this? Sea otters have blubber like seals and whales.
Yeah, I guess since they both live in cold water, it makes sense that people would think that.
But sea otters rely on their fur and a high metabolism to stay warm. They don't have any blubber at all.
It's all about that fur coat. Okay, I'm ready for the final myth. Bring it on.
Okay, last one. Sea otters are just cute animals with no real impact on the ocean.
Oh, I think we've learned enough to know that's definitely not true. They're super important to the health of the kelp forest.
Exactly. Remember, they're a keystone species. Without them, that whole ecosystem could be thrown out of balance.
Wow, we just busted 10 myths. It's amazing what we can learn about an animal just by digging a little deeper.
I agree, there's always more to discover about the natural world.
So we've talked about their history, their daily lives, their families, even busted some myths. What else can we learn about sea otters?
Well, there's still so much more to talk about.
We've learned so much about sea otters, but one question keeps popping into my head. If they're so important to the kelp forest, why are they still having such a hard time?
It's true, even though their numbers have bounced back since the days when people hunted them for their fur, there are still a lot of challenges in the world today.
So what are some of the biggest threats to sea otters these days?
Well, one of the biggest ones is pollution. Remember we talked about how sensitive their fur is to oil?
Yeah, those oil spills can be devastating for them.
Exactly, and unfortunately, oil spills still happen and they can have a huge impact.
I guess it's not just oil though, right? There are all kinds of pollution in the ocean.
You're absolutely right. There are chemicals and toxins from factories, farms, even our own homes that end up in the ocean.
Hmm.
And those can be really harmful to sea otters and all the other animals that live there.
So we need to be more careful about what we put into the environment.
We do. Everything is connected. And then there's all the plastic trash that ends up in the ocean.
Oh, right. Sea otters can get tangled up in it or even eat it by mistake.
It's a huge problem for all sorts of marine life, and it just keeps getting worse.
That's so sad. We have to do better. What about climate change? Is that affecting sea otters too?
Definitely. Climate change is making the ocean warmer and more acidic, and that can hurt the kelp forests they depend on. Plus, it can make it harder for them to find the food they need.
It sounds like they're facing a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Makes me want to help. But what can people like me actually do? We can't exactly go out and rescue sea otters ourselves.
You'd be surprised how much you can do. Even small actions can make a big difference. One easy thing you can do is try to use less plastic.
Okay, like what kinds of things?
Well, you can use a reusable water bottle instead of buying those plastic ones. Bring your own bags to the grocery store. Skip the plastic straw when you get a drink.
Yeah, that makes sense. If we use less plastic, then less of it will end up in the ocean.
Exactly. You can also help spread the word about sea otters. Tell your friends and family about how cool they are and why they need our help.
So we can all be little otter ambassadors.
I love that. The more people who know about them and care about them, the better.
And I bet there are organizations we can support too, right?
Absolutely. A lot of groups are working hard to protect sea otters and their habitat, and even a small donation can help make a difference.
You know what? I think I'm going to ask my parents if we can adopt a sea otter for my birthday. I know it's not like having a pet otter, but it's a way to help support their conservation.
That's a great idea. And if you live near the coast, you could participate in a beach cleanup to help remove trash that could harm marine life.
Yeah, I like that. It's a way to get some exercise, help the environment, and make the beach a safer place for animals.
Exactly. We all have a role to play in taking care of our planet and all the amazing creatures that live on it.
Well, thank you so much for teaching me so much about sea otters today. I'm going to make sure everyone I know understands just how cool they are and what we can do to help them.
I knew you would. Remember, even small actions can add up to make a big difference. And that's what it's all about. Thanks for listening.